Welcome back to the show. Friendsgiving. It's a great opportunity to make twists on the family favorites and share cultural dishes. And here with us to demonstrate 3 Friendsgiving recipes is our friend from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, Shanti. Shanti, always a pleasure. Oh man, I'm very sad that we don't live closer together so I could enjoy some probably amazing Friendsgiving meal. So
Yes, I agree.
tell us a little bit about Friendsgiving.
Yeah, so in about 2007 is when it actually made it into the Merriam-Webster dictionary. So before then, it was kind of a phrase that had been thrown around, but it wasn't official until that year. And then we've just seen it skyrocket, right?
Oh yeah.
It's something that we see ahead of the Friends or the Thanksgiving holiday. I'm almost more likely to say Friendsgiving than Thanksgiving a little bit. But what I love about it is that we can make things a little bit different. I think it's a time to experiment with recipes, do a little bit twists on the things that we know well. And that's why I kind of have 3 recipes here, but they're very health focused. This is kind of focused on bringing vegetables as star of the show and making sure we've got fiber on the table, but still making it like taste and look good.
Gotcha. That completely makes sense. And I got to say, the thing I love most about Friendsgiving is it's kind of like potluck style. It's not all the pressure
Yes,
to make the entire meal on one person. It kind of,
I know.
spreads the love a little bit. I love that. So we got 3
Yeah.
recipes. Let's jump right
Yeah.
in. What do we got first?
Yeah, so we'll do this dip first. Now, this is a whipped feta dip, which is Greek yogurt and feta. We've drizzled some olive oil in there, also done a little bit of lemon zest. Now, with this, you actually don't want to salt it because feta is quite salty.
Yeah.
And so we just whip it together, get it to this nice spread that you see here. And then I've prepared this really nice topping for it. Now, this has honey crisp apples, we've got shallots, we got a little bit of
Oh.
thyme, and also got pecans. So we're going to spoon that over this mixture and you can serve it with some crackers. You can serve it with some cucumber slices as you see I have here just to give it a little bit more health value. And it's a great dipper and it just gives that fall flavor with those apples that have been caramelized. It's a little bit sweet. And then of course the thyme, they go so well together.
Now, Shanti, quick question for you. Because I've tried to make feta dip in the past,
hmm
and the problem is how do you integrate the yogurt with the feta? Do you use a blender of some kind? How do you get those 2 flavors to really mix and combine well?
Yeah, so we love using Greek yogurt because, first of all, it's a lot less
Hmm.
expensive than feta, but also it's got lots of protein, calcium, vitamin D, really good source of all those things, and it just makes us
Oh,
fuller
okay.
when we eat it. But to combine it, a food processor is the absolute best because that way you can kind of drizzle in some olive oil and really get it smooth too. Now, I use a blender sometimes. I will say it stays a little bit grainier, so it just depends on what you have on hand. I think it tastes delicious either way, but the ratio is also just a little bit more Greek yogurt to get that smooth texture, and then we want to make sure that the feta is crumbled.
Gotcha. 10-4. Thank you so much. That is going to help my dip making game. Now, let's move on to the next recipe. What do we got, Shanti?
Sure. So if you've had salad at a restaurant, you've had a kale salad,
Hmm.
you're like, why does this taste so good? And it doesn't taste so good at home. And that's because it needs a little TLC. It needs a massage. So I've made this kind of maple vinaigrette. It's got thyme in it. So it's a little bit sweet, a little bit herbaceous. And I'm just going to massage this kale for about 20 seconds is what you want to do. This will make sure it gets tender and it's so much more delicious to bite into and it makes the salad. I don't ever skip massaging the kale.
Now, now, what when you're massaging the kale, what is it doing? Like you said, it was tenderizing, but I guess I'm trying to
Yeah.
wrap my head around what is this physical activity doing to make the kale more tender?
Yeah. So by massaging it, you're kind of warming up some of those fibers and making it more tender that way. And I will say
Okay.
there's something about it that makes it taste a little bit less bitter. Now I'm adding goat cheese to it, adding some slivered almonds. You can do different nuts if you'd like. And then I'm adding cranberries or dried cranberries, I should say.
Interesting.
And the ones that I'm adding are a third of the amount of sugar. So typically, dried cranberries, they're going to have a lot of sugar. I like to go with the ones that have a little bit less added to them, and also a little bit of English cucumber for crunch. And what makes this recipe special, in my opinion, is this crispy rice. You've probably seen these
Crispy
crispy rice
rice.
salads all over the internet. Now this is kind of a Thanksgiving take. So what I've done is take a long grain rice, jasmine rice in my case, put a little bit of soy sauce and olive oil with it and roasted it in the oven for about 30, 35, sometimes even 40
Interesting.
minutes. And we'll sprinkle that over so we get a little bit crisp and crunch and make it a little bit more savory.
I've never heard of crispy rice, but now I want to go home and try that. Now, just I know
Yeah.
this may seem like a very silly question. This is cooked rice before you add the soy sauce and then roast it, correct? Okay.
No, that's such a great question. Yeah, we have it cooked first to make sure that, of
Gotcha.
course, it's soft, but we do want to start out with it cold. So once you've cooked it, or even if you have leftover rice, you can always do this with it. Keep it in the fridge until it's
Perfect.
cooled down. Massage in that olive oil and soy sauce. All our foods are getting massaged today. It's great.
Well, we have a little less than a minute, but we got one more
Yeah.
recipe to go. Let's jump right in.
Sure, these are garlicky green beans. I've sauteed them with some garlic, olive oil, a little bit of soy sauce to add some umami. And then, okay, hear me out on this. These are anchovy breadcrumbs. So if you don't like anchovies, you can
Anchovies.
skip the anchovies.
Okay.
But I'm sprinkling this mixture over. Now, how to make this is you start out with just a little bit of olive oil, you add some anchovy paste. I like using anchovy paste because that means there's no bones in it. I don't have to deal with it. And then once that's cooled down with some panko
Oh,
breadcrumbs, once we've gotten those
wow.
toasted, we add a little bit of Parmesan and some parsley to that mixture. Drizzle that over your green beans, and it is such a decadent take and a healthier take
Oh,
on a
yeah.
lot of green bean recipes that we see around the holidays because a lot of them come from a canned product, makes them high in salt, and of course, they're always made with some kind of heavy cream.
Now, before we wrap up, we only have a couple more things. Does that have a bit of a Caesar dressing flavor because it's the anchovies?
Yeah, so if you
Gotcha.
love Caesar salad, this is for you for
Yes.
sure. It definitely has that kind of umami aspect to it because of the
Yum,
anchovies.
yum, yum. All three of these dishes are sure to make anyone at Friendsgiving the hit of the party. Shanti, in our last couple seconds, where can people go for more recipes just like this one?
Sure, a healthiermichigan.org. We've got all the health
Perfect.
information about these two.
And as always, we're going to make sure all the information you need to connect with Shanti and get these recipes to try for yourself will all be available on our website after the show today. Shanti, always a pleasure, and we'll see you next week.